everyone, it's Nina. Thanks so much for joining me today. Today I have a fun card to share with you featuring Avery Elle stamps, and I think you're really going to enjoy this card that I have to share with you. I'm going to be doing some Copic coloring and also some ink blending to create this cute little birthday scene. So let's get started and check it out. Here I've got the Wild Birthday stamp set from Avery Elle. There are dies that coordinate with this stamp set, but I don't have them, so I'm just going to be using the stamp set today. However, do keep in mind that if you want to create this card a little bit more simply, you can go ahead and skip the fussy cutting that I'm going to be doing and go ahead and die cut all the images instead. So to get started, I've got my stamp set here and I'm stamping out the images onto some white cardstock. I'm using some Simon Says Stamp Intense Black dye ink to do this. Simon Says Stamp dye ink is my favorite to go ahead and stamp my images in. I'm stamping them off on the side because these are brand new images and I haven't used them yet. So I want to make sure that the stamping is perfect. So I'll just go ahead and stamp them off on the side of my cardstock here to make sure that the stamping is nice and perfect. I'll also go ahead and stamp all the other little critters in this stamp set. Once I have the critters stamped out, I'm going to take the little banner stamp and I'm going to ink this up with my black ink. However, I want to make this banner bigger, so I'm going to actually mask off the side here. And I'm going to ink this up so that way I have almost everything inked up except for that very end of the banner. Once I have that stamped down, I'm going to go ahead and re-ink it, and I'll go ahead and press that down right over top. You can see it wasn't perfect, but once we have it colored in, you're never going to know. Now, if you are going to use the coordinating dies, do remember that this is a bigger banner now, so the die won't cut this out. You'll have to fussy cut this instead. Alright, so now I'm going to do my Copic coloring. I did some really simple Copic coloring on these critters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you watch the coloring, and then I will play some music and come back after we finish coloring so that way I can show you how I created the rest of the card. Alright, now that we finished up all of our coloring, I'm taking a white piece of cardstock here that I've die cut with a Simon Says Stamp Stitched Rectangle die. And I'm taking some Distress ink. This is cracked pistachio, and I'm also going to be bringing in some squeezed lemonade in a minute. I'm going to be creating a gradient of color that's going to go from teal to minty green to a yellow. And that's going to create a really great background for this scene, because this is going to give the background a lot of color and fun, because of course this is a birthday card, so it has to be like a party. So I'm going to start mixing the colors together here. I'm bringing in that squeezed lemonade and I'm blending that over top of the cracked pistachio. I'm allowing the colors to meet each other almost like a triangle. You can see the color gradient here. And I'm just blending them together to create this really cute background. I'm also going to bring in a stencil. This is from Echo Park, and I'm going to tape it to the back side of my paper. And I'm going to ink blend those stars right back over top of the ink blending that we did for the background in a darker and heavier hand. I was using a much lighter hand as I was doing the background color, and the stars are created with a heavier hand. That's just going to allow them to stand up off of the card better. Next, I'm going to start building my scene. I'm taking some foam tape and I'm applying it to the back side of this banner. I'm going to go ahead and attach this down. I've fussy cut everything with some cutter bee scissors, and I just trimmed them all out. But again, you could use the coordinating dies that go with this stamp set, and I'll have those linked down both in the video description and over at the Simon Says Stamp blog. So here I'm laying out my critters to try to figure out how I want this card to be laid out. I decided I want my sentiment over on that left-hand corner. However, I wanted the sentiment to be left aligned. I thought this would look a lot better for the design of the card. So to remedy this, I'm going to go ahead and trim my stamp down using my cutter bee scissors. These are fine tips, so it's going to help me get in there much easier. Now you could also mask off the sentiment and stamp it that way, just stamp each piece one at a time. But I wanted to make sure that I liked how this was going to work, so you can see I just tested it out here. And then I'm going to go ahead and stamp it directly onto my card. I'm aligning it onto the left-hand side, like I said, and I'm also making sure it lines up with the bird. It's going to be more visually pleasing. I'll go ahead and press that down good. And now I'll go ahead and start adding these little critters onto the card. Now some of them are going to be glued down and some of them are going to be popped up. For this little bird, I'm going to glue him down right above the banner, just using some PPA matte adhesive. For the little rhino, I'm going to add some PPA matte adhesive to the back side of him as well. I'll glue him down. Both the hippo and the lion are popped up with foam tape. You can see I'm just arranging how I want the lion to be placed. I wanted him to be flanked by both the hippo and the rhinoceros. I thought this would really look cute because the rhinoceros and the hippo are both pretty similar colors, so the lion really works nice right in the middle there. I'll add a little bit of extra foam tape to the back side of his head just to make sure he was nice and stable. I also am going to take the balloon. This, of course, needed a balloon string. So to do this, I'm taking a piece of floss. This is just some DMC floss. And I'm putting it onto the back side of my balloon. I'm just making sure I like how this is going to look. To be able to attach my string to the balloon, this is what I do. I just fold it over top of the little knot on the balloon. I'm going to take a piece of Scotch tape and I'm going to attach it to the back side. Just make sure it stays in place. This is an easy way to do this. I'm going to trim off the end so that way it's not sticking out over the balloon. Then I'm going to fold the other piece of string right back over top. I'm making sure it stays in the middle, and then I'm going to take a piece of Scotch tape and put it right down there so that way it holds the string right there in place, and the string looks perfect. It saves me from having to tie it and have any knots hanging or anything like that. This is much easier. Now I want my balloon string to be a little more stiff, so I'm taking some PPA glue and I'm putting it on my finger, and then I'm running my finger all the way down the balloon string a couple times just to smush that glue onto the floss, and then I'm going to go ahead and let that dry. It dried for about maybe 30 minutes and then it was ready to go. So I'm just going to go ahead and wrap this around the tail of the lion. I thought I was going to tuck it in there, but I thought, yeah, you know what, I'm going to tie it. I thought this would look cuter. So I'm going to go ahead and tie this down, and I'm going to let this little end hang just as if it was a real balloon. So I'll go ahead and let that go. And then for a final finishing touch, I'm going to take some glossy accents and add it to the eyes. I'm also going to add a little bit extra to the rhinoceros. And then I'm also going to cover the balloon with some glossy accents as well because the balloon has to be shiny. I also did one extra detail that I don't have on camera. I just took some white gel pen and added some freckles to the little critters. And I really think this really finishes them off and makes them look super cute. So I hope you've enjoyed and got some inspiration on using the Avery Elle Wild Birthday stamp set. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below. And head on over to the Simon Says Stamp blog where you can get more information on this card, including still pictures and products used. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can find us on social media at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube, as well as our blog. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again soon.